Want to know the secret to losing fat without starving yourself, cutting out all of your favorite foods, or spending hours in the gym? Consistent weight loss doesn't come from some restrictive diet that you haven't mastered. It comes from replacing the daily habits that are working against you with small habits that actually move you forward. And once you learn how to stack those habits together, that's when fat starts coming off for good. Coming from the girl who spent decades bouncing between low-calorie, low-carb, and borderline starvation diets, trust me, I have tried every extreme diet out there, and I've got the yo-yoing weight to prove it. But it wasn't until I ditched the all-or-nothing mindset and started focusing on consistent, flexible habits that I finally lost 50 pounds and actually kept it off. So in this video, I'll show you 3 daily habits you can start using today to finally see results. No extreme calorie cuts, no keto flu, and no weird food rules required. I'll show you exactly how I fit these habits into my real life, including what I eat to make fat loss simple and sustainable. And even though I gave up extreme diets like keto years ago, I still learned a few things from slashing carbs while eating way more fat than should be humanly possible. Most people start their day with oatmeal, a bagel with low-fat cream cheese, or maybe a few eggs with toast. These are all low-calorie breakfasts that the government loves to hype up as healthy. And not to point fingers, but have you seen some of these government officials lately? I mean, it might be time to stop taking nutrition advice from people who haven't seen the inside of a gym in well over a decade. It wasn't until I stopped listening to the experts and started learning from people who actually walk the walk that I changed my mornings. So carbs were out and high fat was in. But not just for breakfast, since I followed a low-carb, high-fat diet all day, every day for more than 5 years. While my results were amazing at first, eventually my hormones revolted. But the second I began adding carbs back in, my daily migraines, constant exhaustion, and stalled weight all started to improve. Well, the migraines and exhaustion got better, but my waistline, not so much. That's when I realized I had to ditch my all or nothing mentality around carbs. So instead of cutting carbs all day, I started most mornings lower carb while slowly adding more real food carbs into meals throughout the day. This works since starting the day lower in carbs helps keep blood sugar stable, energy steady, and keeps cravings in check. And it's easy to stick to when I begin the day with a quick meal like a protein shake. To keep it low carb, but still filling enough to make it through the morning, I add 4 ounces of water, 4 ounces of unsweetened coconut milk, 4 ounces frozen strawberries, a scoop of protein powder, and 5 grams of creatine monohydrate into a blender. This shake only has 12 grams of carbs with 3.5 grams coming from fiber. That's enough to keep me full without that crash and burn blood sugar spike, even with active mornings where I stretch for 15 minutes, followed by a 60-minute walk. And once it's time for a mid-morning snack, I keep it simple with either a low-calorie coffee drink or I grab a few ounces of meat from the fridge paired with green tea. The combo of protein and caffeine keeps my energy steady while I stay full with minimal calories. To make the coffee drink, I add 2 ounces of chameleon cold brew, 4 ounces of coconut milk, 2 ounces water, half a scoop of protein powder, plus a handful of ice into a blender. Then I blend it and I'm good to go until I have lunch. Once lunch rolls around, I aim for around 500 calories with a moderate amount of carbs, preferably real food carbs that are packed with fiber so it keeps me full without triggering cravings. One of my go-to lunches is this grilled turkey and cheese sandwich with fruit. Here's how I put it together in only 5 minutes. First, I spray 2 slices of Dave's thin sliced bread with cooking spray and sprinkle with garlic powder. Then I toast. While that's toasting, I measure out 5 ounces of boar's head honey turkey and an ounce of cheese, place it onto the toasted bread, and put it back into the toaster oven to melt the cheese. As that cooks, I measure out 10 ounces of low sugar fruit, which I mix up with 2 ounces of blueberries, 3 ounces of strawberries, and 4 ounces of watermelon. That lunch adds 58 grams of carbs to my day, but with 9.5 grams of fiber and plenty of real food nutrients, it actually supports fat loss instead of stalling it. Around 3, I'm usually ready for a snack. If I'm craving something light and filling, I'll go for an apple with an ounce of cheese. If I'm looking to add more protein, I'll whip up some yogurt protein drops, which, yes, taste as good as they sound. Here's how I make them. I mix 1 container of coconut yogurt with half a scoop of protein powder. My favorite flavor is key lime, and to keep this dairy-free, I use the vanilla protein powder from Equip. Then I whisk until smooth before adding another half scoop and whisking again. Once combined, I pour the mix into silicone molds, flatten it with a spoon, and freeze for about an hour. Each serving adds 27 grams of carbs, which honestly used to terrify me back in my low-carb days. Back then, I thought too many carbs meant automatic fat gain and that I'd be starving an hour later. But now, I know better. Since I paired the carbs with protein and the yogurt naturally adds some healthy fat, this snack keeps me full straight through dinner. Plus, the carbs give me the energy I need to keep up with an active lifestyle. Speaking of dinner, this is where I ease off on restricting carbs for the day. Since I've eaten lower calorie, fiber-rich meals all day, I can enjoy a bigger dinner without blowing my plan. And here's the best part. Eating more carbs at night actually helps me sleep better, which is huge for fat loss. One of my favorite dinners is this high-protein enchilada skillet. To make this quick dinner, I start by browning 2 pounds of lean beef until fully cooked. As it browns, I add in diced yellow onions. While the beef is browning, I slice 4 low-calorie tortilla shells into strips and set aside. Once browned, I drain any fat and mix in taco seasoning and water and then stir to combine well. Then I mix in the enchilada sauce followed by the sliced tortillas. I spread the sliced shells out and combine them into the beef and sauce. Then I allow this to simmer over medium heat for 5 minutes. Once simmered, I turn to low heat and top the entire skillet with cheese. Once the cheese melts, I sprinkle it with green onions and enjoy. This is enough to serve my entire family, plus I have a few servings left over to heat up for an easy high-protein lunch during the week. Once it's ready, I weigh out 352 grams, which keeps me right around 600 calories. It's filling, satisfying, and only adds 26 grams of carbs, which is lower than I usually have at night, but I still haven't added in dessert, which tonight will be my current favorite, a rice cake s'more, which is easy to put together when I layer a rice cake with a few chocolate chips and mini marshmallows, and then toast until the marshmallows melt. This brings my dinner total to 53 grams of carbs, which puts me at a total of 150 carbs for the day, with 30 grams coming from filling fiber. So even though I don't follow a strict low-carb plan anymore, starting my day with fewer carbs while increasing them throughout the day gives me the best of both worlds. I stay fuller on fewer calories earlier in the day, I sleep better after bigger meals at night, and I keep both my brain and my hormones happy while still losing fat. But even though using carbs more strategically helps, I quickly learned that just focusing on carbs isn't enough to reach my fat loss goals. Because if you want to lose fat, you still have to eat fewer calories than you burn. And one thing I noticed early in my journey is that if I overeat in the morning, even by a little, I end up hungrier and overeating all day. So just like I don't front load carbs, I also don't front load calories. By keeping early meals and snacks lower in calories, I have more room later in the day when my appetite is naturally higher and cravings hit, which is the reason I start every morning with that protein shake. Not only is it easy to make during my busiest time of day, but it fills me up on only 160 calories. And even after I snack on a few ounces of chicken with green tea, I'm still sitting just over 300 calories by lunch. Then lunch is typically a protein-heavy meal with a side of fruit, all for under 500 calories. Add in a mid-afternoon snack like those yogurt drops, and that brings me to just over 1,000 calories for the day. Since my personal fat loss sweet spot is around 2,000 calories, I still have plenty of room left for a satisfying dinner and dessert without going overboard. On a normal night, I keep dinner around 600 calories, with dessert adding another 1 to 200, which still keeps me 200 plus calories under budget. If my appetite's higher that day, I make simple adjustments like skipping dessert and having a bigger dinner with more protein. Or I'll swap in a high protein dessert like strawberry cheesecake yogurt, which is easy to make when I mix 1 serving of Oikos 000 vanilla yogurt with a spoonful of strawberry fruit spread and top with 1 to 2 crushed graham crackers. This dessert is easy, filling, and delicious enough for me to want to lick the bowl. But on days where I feel good around 17 or 1800 calories, I just bank the leftover calories for the weekend so I can enjoy a meal or two out without stressing out over calories. Even if I switch up my meals during the week, I know I'm on track as long as I follow this loose structure where I'm around 300 calories before lunch, 800 calories after lunch, add in a 200 calorie snack, and have at least 800 calories left for dinner and dessert. That makes my plan flexible, doable, and it's how I finally stopped white-knuckling my way through diet after diet. But there's still one daily habit I already mentioned, but we haven't fully covered. And if this piece is missing from your meals, your fat loss plan is doomed to fail. Let's say I spent 300 calories on a bagel with cream cheese, 500 calories on a lean cuisine and chips, 200 calories on a healthy granola bar, and 800 calories on a chicken sandwich and fries. I'd still be eating the same amount of calories I eat now, but I'd be starving. That's because these kinds of meals don't keep you full like real protein-packed food does. In fact, studies show people who eat more processed foods take in about 500 more calories per day, even when they're trying not to. So sure, you might be able to white knuckle your way through this kind of diet for a few days, but it won't be long before you're reaching for snacks in between your bagel and lean cuisine. Or you're diving into the family-sized bag of chips after your perfectly portioned lunch. And you find yourself promising to eat only half the fries with dinner, but still end up polishing the whole serving off, and then you go on the hunt for something sweet. Trust me, this isn't just theory. This is 30 years of experience talking. But when you start your day with around 30 grams of protein and then build your meals around protein from there, that's when everything shifts. You stay fuller longer, you feel satisfied on less calories, and fat loss becomes less miserable. As someone who's 5'7", with a goal weight with muscle that's between 150 and 160 pounds, I aim for 150 grams of protein a day. Which means for breakfast, I aim for 30 grams, while I shoot for 50 grams with lunch and dinner. That brings me to 130 grams, which is a great start, especially since that's already double what most women get, because most women drastically undereat protein, only averaging 60 grams a day. But to truly maximize protein's benefits, like more satiety, muscle retention, and greater fat burning, it's smart to aim for your goal weight in grams of protein each day. That's where high protein snacks come in. On days I have a few ounces of chicken after breakfast and grab yogurt drops after lunch, I easily surpass my 150 gram per day goal with 174 grams for the day, and that's without even really trying. And while you don't need to eat that much for fat loss to work, more protein does make it easier to reach your goal since it helps you stay fuller on less calories. You burn more calories digesting protein thanks to the thermic effect of food, and you maintain more muscle, which means you burn more calories at rest too. So just like I build carbs and calories throughout the day, I also increase protein meal by meal. Even though these habits may not sound flashy, and they are definitely not extreme, they are exactly how I finally lost the weight, and they're the only reason I've been able to keep it off. Because flashy plans don't lead to lasting changes. Solid habits do. And while these 3 daily habits are a great place to start, they're just the beginning. If you want to know the rest of the habits I use to make fat loss finally stick, watch this video next. I'll show you 17 small but mighty fat loss habits that, once stacked together, make you absolutely unstoppable with your fat loss plan.